The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Maynard Bangs presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Bangs.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People versus the Wolfman, 2010. This retelling of the 1941 classic features an actor returning to his childhood home to mourn his murdered brother, only to be attacked by, and subsequently become, a werewolf. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I must confess I more often find myself clapping for the Wolfman. Alas, today, that is not the case. No, tonight there's a bad moon arising in this court. And that moon is the woefully misguided remake, The Wolfman 2010. I find myself with an interesting advantage tonight as we recently discussed the masterful 1941 version, and it's still fresh in all of our minds and hearts. We are forced to view this 2010 version as a remake, as a retelling. So we do need to consider some of the choices it made as they relate to the original. On paper, this movie has a lot to make it succeed. So why does it fall so short? Much of it I put on the hairy shoulders of Benicio del Toro, but his co-stars did little to make it better. I would argue they made it worse. I think we need to discuss the uninspired ending. What a jumbled mess that is. Ultimately, this movie just makes too many bad decisions, and it fails at any goals it may have been attempting to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Mr. Frank Dietz. Please present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I think that my opponent here is just completely off limits. I mean, this film is surprisingly good, and I say surprisingly because it if you look at other werewolf movies that have been made around the same time, say Van Helsing, right? You could see where you can really go wrong with werewolves, but this film has a lot going for it. And number one, it is a remake of the 1941 film, and there's obviously that's a classic that almost all monster fans enjoy. And I think that what the director did here, the choices that he made, make sense. And not only that, but it's a lot of fun to watch because the director keeps throwing in these marvelous little tidbits that reference not only the 1941 Wolfman, but pretty much all the other Wolfman movies that have been made since then. And that I find great joy in. But I also think that the actors assigned to this make this film almost like I'd call it the Downton Abbey of werewolf movies.
Now that's a movie I'd watch.
Downton Abbey?
Oh, there it is.
There we are. But it is a movie that what I've seen happening is more and more people are revisiting it and rediscovering it and finding the very, very, very good qualities about it. And so there we are.
Thank you. Mr. Schlender, let's see if you can smash these Easter eggs. Please present your first exhibit.
Well, thank you, Your Honor, because I would like to talk about the 1941 version for a moment, if I may, because you see, the more I've been reading about World War II, the more I think the Wolfman may have been reflecting contemporary war and isolation anxieties. Remember, the movie actually debuted on December 7th, 1941. Trivia item, what else happened on that day? And think about the actual story. An American coaxed into returning to Europe out of obligation, being turned into a monster that resents himself, only to be killed by the same symbol of that obligation, his father. The more common accepted interpretation was that the writer Kirk, last name I won't try to pronounce because I'll offend someone.
Yeah, Siadmak.
I love having Ryan in the audience. Siadmak. He was writing about the prosecution. No, that's me. He was writing about the persecution he felt as a Jewish person. Regardless of which interpretation you want to go with, there are layers and richness in 1941 that 2010 simply does not have. It is too much a product, not enough art, sealed off from any reality. It is why it will not last as a piece of its time or as a piece for all time, the way 1941 does. When we're looking at 1941, obviously, the next comparison has to be Jack Pierce's makeup versus Rick Baker's. While Baker is no slouch, we see a rather rudimentary and simple prosthetic that looks worse than his work in Werewolf in London many, many years before. Pierce had limitations of his time and place that Baker did not have. And Baker has expressed in numerous interviews his frustration at being sidelined in favor of CGI, which was used for the transformation sequence. So why invite these comparisons? Why make this remake? That's really the question. The other question being what we're doing here, but we'll get to that later. The idea behind werewolves, lycanthropy, men becoming savage beasts, it's as old as storytelling itself. So there's no need to make a remake or be beholden to 1941 when you can't measure up. They chose this path. That's why we have to consider it, and that's why it comes up wanting. It was just a terrible choice out the gate.
Mr. Dietz, is there a timelessness to the original that's lost in the sequel?
What I think is very interesting is that the Wolfman 1941 is actually set in that time period in 1941, and what we've done with the Wolfman 2010 is actually put it further back in time to to like 1888, I think, or 1980,
91, I think 1891.
Right, somewhere around there, because it has an actual like character from real life in it. But I mean, the more I watch it, the more I'm seeing these little bits of things, and I'm still very much convinced that as time goes on, this will be remembered, like The Thing, like Carpenter's The Thing, which was a bomb at the box office. Nobody watched it for years and years and years until it finally started to grow on cable networks and so forth, and now is, of course, quite beloved by pretty much everybody. Will the Wolfman achieve that same level? Probably not, but I do think that it has enough qualities to it that will last, that will be seen as something that was really, really well done for its time, which was earlier this century.
Right. Mr.
Feeling
Schlender?
cold now, Frank. Thank you. One of the reasons The Thing, I think, has endured and become such a cult hit is because of the practical effects. It represents something that we've kind of lost or are in the process of losing. I don't think you'll see that in Wolfman 2010. I think the corollary to that would probably be like An American Werewolf in London. But speaking of werewolves, let's look at the werewolf here, Benicio del Toro, a man so hairy Rick Baker said he barely needed to use the prosthetic. Is Benicio del Toro a leading man? I am not so sure based on this performance. His American accent is not terribly convincing, and he slips in his quieter moments. And in theory, it should slip into more of an English accent, but it is recognizably Del Toro's voice. I will cut him some slack. His lines are not particularly good, so why expend the effort? Del Toro fails to capture the anguish and pathos of Lon Chaney Jr. While Del Toro has an interesting face and he has an interesting look, it is not emotive. This is what has relegated him to quirky side characters for most of his career, and he truly does excel there, make no mistake. Let's also look at Anthony Hopkins here, this broader point that I'm making about.
Well, let's let Frank make any responses
Oh,
would
yes,
to
please.
the accusations against Benicio del Lobo.
Well, first of all, Benicio del Toro is a huge monster, Universal monster fan. He's his whole life he's been crazy about it. In fact, he and I were both in a documentary about the creature from the Black Lagoon that was done like 20 years ago now, something like that. But he really like championed this film, and I disagree about like him. I think that he does with his face and with his posturing, that he does create that air of suffering and sympathy, and it's not quite as I don't want to say over the top as Lon, because I love Lon, but it's more subtle without a doubt, but it's a different kind of acting than that we have now than we would have back then. Back then the acting was much often more broader, and especially in melodramas such as this. But I think that he does that pain and that suffering does resonate through his eyes, through his. I like that he's playing an actor. And in the original movie, Lon Chaney was just like a mechanic or something like that. And if you look at his body language throughout the movie, the way he postures, the way he stands, he sits himself, like that's a fucking actor. that's a guy who acts for a living. And I actually noticed that for the first time just earlier today when I was watching the movie again just to prepare for this evening. So I disagree from an acting point of view. I think he does fit the role.
We can certainly let the jury decide. I'd like to talk about Anthony Hopkins, Your Honor.
All right.
Anthony Hopkins became a hack so gradually we barely noticed.
I noticed.
Was his last truly great movie The Human Stain? No, because that was not a great movie. Hopkins is all at once moving too fast and too slowly in this film. His clipped dialogue and winking at the camera is just too much. We suspect him immediately. And he brings none of the grandeur the otherwise diminutive Claude Rains brought to this role. When we combine Del Toro and Hopkins, they are simply not convincing as a pair, be it as a father and son, or be it as rivals, or be it as CGI Wolfman fighting each other. Also, if I could keep going on the lack of chemistry, I love Leverett romances as much as the next brother, but Emily Blunt is not a great romantic foil in this. Now, we've seen her keep up with great leading men like Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow. She shows she is capable. I blame Del Toro for giving her nothing to work with here. I think the dearth of chemistry we see between Emily Blunt's character and Del Toro can be laid at Del Toro's feet, and that was just an unattainable role for any poor leading lady who got cast in it. Emily Blunt just happened to be in the line of fire.
Mr. Dietz, as far as Emily goes, is Mr. Schlender being too blunt?
I think that I mean I do agree to a certain point that it's kind of a thankless role, and I wouldn't put the blame on Benicio del Toro there. I mean, I think that would have to fall onto director's name. I'm blanking on it.
Joe Johnston.
Joe Johnston. Thank you. Because that's to get the right performances out of people is the director's job, right? And and so I think she could only do the best with what she was handed because I mean here's the thing is if you go back and look at the original movie, Evelyn Ankers really had very little to do in that film too. And when you were talking about Hopkins and Del Toro not being believable as the father and son, well, even Kurt Siodmak said that he couldn't possibly believe that Lon Chaney was the son of Claude Rains.
For the record, I am 6'4" and my father is 5'6". It can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen. I think that
skips a generation.
while I would agree that about Anthony Hopkins after this movie really just kind of taking any kind of gig that he could get. I mean, I was absolutely thrilled when I found out that he was going to play Sir John Talbot, because I thought that he would bring this sort of class to it, and I think he does. I mean, I think that he's still there's little things that he does, this little wink every once in a while, and I saw the movie in the movie theater when it came out. I think I saw it the day it came out, and I did not expect that he would be, in fact, also be a werewolf and in truthfully be the villain of the piece. I did not see that coming, and I usually try to pride myself on that shit. So watching the movie for the first time, it definitely worked for me. It was shocking to me. Because I just I honestly couldn't picture. I mean, I can picture him as a villain, but as a werewolf villain, that was not that didn't happen until about maybe halfway through the movie, when his eyes kind of lit up a little bit or something like that.
You knew he would. I disagree, Frank. I think it was pretty well telegraphed that there was more than meets the eye with Hopkins. But I can move on to my third point, Your Honor, if you'd like.
Sure.
All right. So, everyone, at your own peril, you can ignore the insane inconsistencies about the sheer amount of full moons that are possible in what is maybe a week. I mean, maybe 2 weeks. And then not to mention just how it's 100% impossible to have full moons back to back on the same night, as we see at the end of the movie. But I want to look at some other things that are impossible to ignore, and we first have to adjust. That's not a word. We need to address the gypsies or Romanis. They're called gypsies. They're called gypsies in the movie, so that's the context in which I am using the word gypsy. It was
the 1890s.
They were critically important in the original movie, and here they're not even needed, not even as a red herring, because get this: the town folks seem to have an understanding of what werewolves are at the very start. The guy in the bar mentions silver bullets. The guy even taunts him, saying, "Oh, he thinks it's a werewolf." It's like, what? Where's this coming from? It turns out there's a book of ancient gypsy lore that Emily Blunt is able to track down, find, read, find the old gypsy woman, and get back to Blackmore all in, 3 hours by horse? Like, what the hell is going on here at the end of the movie? And how exciting is it to see our main characters flip through books in our monster movies, right? That's exactly what we want to see. And
it's like Batman rolling through files.
Order in the court. They support their local library. I'm good with that.
So, I think the idea behind the book was that she owns an antique shop, and that would have been one of the antique books that would have already been in her shop. That's a way to justify it, I think.
Even if I give it to you, it's still a ridiculous scene. But you know who I want to talk about too? Because I don't want us to forget that they did our boy sing dirty. So dirty. He would have been a really interesting sidekick to Del Toro if they decide to go after Hopkins together. But instead, he gets ganked. Just completely 86th. And think about it. Think about this, right? We see Singh competently handling firearms. He knows Hopkins is the werewolf. But he does nothing about it after Hopkins breaks free and seems to relish in it. He seems no obligation to avenge the murdered son. He does nothing but die himself. Now, at the end of the movie, you remember Del Toro, he has the gun, the seemingly a Nitro Express is the big elephant rifle with those huge cartridges, pointed at Hopkins. And he pulls the trigger, and Hopkins says he disarmed the charges on those silver rounds years ago. Okay, what is England pretty much famous for? Being damp and wet. What we saw about Singh handling firearms, he would have been checking those charges because you couldn't just leave them out for years without them going bad. He would have, a man of Singh's training, would have been able to feel the weighted difference between a charged and uncharged round. So if he wanted to say, like, he just did it, maybe. But for years, Singh didn't notice that there were blanks in those guns when it was his sacred duty to make sure the werewolf never got out, which apparently he just gives up on once the werewolf does get out, and the movie realizes they can't explain it. So they kill him unceremoniously. And keeping in mind, Hopkins had to have killed him as a human because he wasn't a werewolf yet when we see Singh's body hang up there. So, like, what the hell did you do to your best friend, man? You just, like, beat him up? Like, what are you doing here? Which brings me to my final question. What are we doing here? The end of this movie, just such a mess. One last reference to 41. 41 is so famous.
Well, I'd like to hear from Mr. Dietz as anything about the Sing points.
I got just like the last sentence here.
Oh, okay.
All right, and then I'm resting. Because just as iconic as the Wolfman makeup were the spooky Moor settings. And we don't get that at the end. Instead, we get a claustrophobic werewolf on werewolf fight in a parlor. They don't even like chase through each other through the woods. There's no sense of the hunt, which is seemingly what they were building to. Poor form. Absolutely poor form and a missed opportunity. And I will rest there, Your Honor.
It's a lot more than
4
a
or
sentence.
5 sentences.
Yes, thank you. Point to Ben. Mr. Dietz, you'd like to respond to any of those points?
Well, Dylan sure knows a lot about guns.
That is true. It terrifies us.
I have no idea about any of that.
Why do you think he's still on the show?
Well, you know, Benicio del Toro wouldn't have known that. So if he just said, "Oh, I disarmed them before I went crazy," that'd be great. But he deliberately said years ago. That was in the movie.
Okay. Yeah, as far as Sing goes,
Sing deserve a better end.
You know, if well, I think that if the decision was to which apparently if they had decided, okay, let's continue this, let's, whether they did Frankenstein meets the Wolfman or whatever, as a sequel, yeah, I mean, he's an interesting character. I think that by that point in the movie that Hopkins has just pretty much like lost his marbles, and he's now like the apex predator at the top of the food chain or whatever, and he's just going to let the wolf rule from this point on. So he doesn't really need Sing anymore. I mean, it was kind of a surprise that they didn't show it necessarily. Like, I mean, it would have been nice to have known exactly what happened there for sure. But that's one of those situations too, where when do you make the decision to have things in the film or things that are not in the film, and that's very often an editorial choice, obviously. It didn't bug me that much. The fight at the end, I was really liking it. I think that the stunt work was really good. There's a lot of good stunt work in the movie. Like a lot of the stuff that that is, obviously some stuff is CG, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't. That was just actual stunt people, which I have great respect for. And in fact, if you look at the list of in the end credits, the list of stunt people, it's considerable. There's a lot of stunt guys in there, and ladies, I'm sure, as well.
A lot of Rolenkos on those moors.
But I guess it's my turn to go now. Yes. So
Absolutely. You can
all
present
right.
any exhibits you have remaining.
Okay. All right. So let me start with something that I didn't uh, get to address yet, and that is the Rick Baker's makeup. Because watching it this time, I was thinking to myself that actually, in some ways, it's better. It's a better transformation than the one in American Werewolf in London, and part of that I think is because of this hybrid use of, which is something they use on The Walking Dead all the time now, is that it's partially practical effects and it's augmented or added onto or whatever you want to call it with the CG to help things. Things like, especially when you're dealing with things like blood, which if you've ever worked on a movie that involved blood gets everywhere if it's practical, and you have to reset, and that time is money, and all of that. But I love what Rick did with this makeup, especially Del Toro's character, especially Lawrence. Funny that they never call him Larry, also, like they do all the way through the original movie. I guess Larry hadn't been invented yet in 1891. Um,
Hmm.
so he's always referred to as Lawrence. But that makeup, I couldn't picture another version of that would so much pay homage to Jack Pierce, but at the same time be just as or even more so, violent. And you know, look, there's a great book um, by Jeff Roven called Return of the Wolfman, and in the book, it's the things that happen after Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, where the Wolfman and Dracula and the monster all actually survive all of that. But the Wolfman, as described in Roven's book, is completely vicious. He's not like the Lon Chaney, which again I love, but still, it's just like he'll jump on a person and like kind of bite their neck, and that's it, right? In the book, the Wolfman is the Wolfman that you see in this movie, where he is just like tears people to pieces. And that to me was what I was so happy to see, that basically to see that this is really a monster, a beast, a creature of darkness that you should be afraid of. Um, the What I remember about seeing it in the movie theater, which came back to me earlier today when I was watching it, were that there are some very successful jump scares. And I don't like safe jump scares. I don't like the ones that are telegraphed ahead of time, like in your Friday the 13th movies. I like a jump scare to be a jump scare. In fact, on my YouTube channel, I just did a whole video about jump scares before they were jump scares. But um, but I think it's another thing that really helps the horror element of the movie. It is a horror movie. It is a full on monster horror movie, and that's one of the many things that I find right about it. I like the atmosphere of it. I like the look. They definitely turn down the saturation. It has that, I can't remember what the term is for the look of the colors in the film. Um, but you know what, I thought that watching it again today, I was thinking that it would make a very good companion piece to John Badham's Dracula, the Frank Langella film. I think that they have the same kind of tone, and they would make a great double feature, a great
Same
monster double
hairstyle too.
feature. Hmm?
Same hairstyle as well.
Um, I like like I said, I think that this movie pays wonderful homage to the original film, a beloved film, but at the same time, you know, having its own personality and its own tone and its own look at what a monster really is. And I just think of I had another couple of points. Oh, I was going to say that the little references to
Well, before we get
the
into Easter eggs, Mr. Schlender, do you have anything to say about the
yeah,
monster
go ahead,
being the real
please.
monster?
The monster being the real monster. I mean, that's really not the point of any werewolf movie. It's always about the monster within, and how, unfortunately, man is the real monster. I'm not a big fan of it either, Your Honor. I understand. However, I just want to go back to the Rick Baker point, because you definitely gave him his flowers. But we have to understand that Rick Baker and his whole team, there was a book that came out called Rick Baker Metamorphosis, about Rick Baker's illustrious career. And in it, there's a quote from Dave
Elsie.
Isley, who
Elsie,
Esley?
yeah.
Elsie, Dave
Elsie,
Esley,
yeah.
Esley, and they're talking about this movie. This is to say the Werewolf 2010, and now this is true, folks. They had a practical solution for the transformation sequence that they threw out. Dave says, "We went up to the director and we said, we have all this stuff. It's ready to go," referring to the transformation sequence. "Don't you even want to try it?" And they said no. Rick was so gutted. We had built 90% of it, planned it out, and it was very original, very clever, and really innovative. Rick was honestly, truthfully heartbroken about it, and it broke my heart as well. And Rick Baker would go on to confirm his annoyance, saying that he was intentionally left out of the transformation scene. One of the things that literally put him on the map, one of the reasons he got this job, presumably. So I appreciate that we want to give Rick Baker his due, but you know who did not give him his due? The directors and producers of this movie.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't mind the the seventh Oscar that he got for this movie on his mantle either. But
what was his competition in 2010? Come on.
So, but then
I don't know.
I had a discussion too recently about this. So that every time we see the Wolfman static, it's makeup and prosthetics, and it's just the transformation that's used as CGI.
To be clear, quite static. Like when they're fighting, that's CGI. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's just like that straight on shot of Benicio del Toro, like when he transforms, yeah, that's the prosthetic, but the actual transformation is CGI when they're battling. And I hate to burst your bubble here, but when Anthony Hopkins is on fire at the end, that's CGI.
That is CGI. Yeah, there's absolutely. Because you know what? It's really bad form to light an Oscar-winning actor on fire.
It
on
really
set,
is.
So,
I can't fault them on that one. We have agreements on both sides of the aisle.
Hopkins probably wanted to do it, though.
The assurance just wouldn't go that high.
Mr.
Dietz, you were about to list all the Easter
eggs.
Oh,
I was just gonna point out a couple of them, and again, this is without a doubt for real purist monster fans, especially werewolf movie fans. And which I think adds to it, because it's like, if you're not a werewolf movie fan, then you're probably not watching the movie anyway. But like the costume that he wore, that Benicio del Toro wore, was definitely a reference to Oliver Reed in Curse of the Werewolf from 1961. That was a Terence Fisher werewolf movie. And in fact, those scenes of him running, over rooftops and so forth, all kind of brought back that feeling of the last, basically what's the last 10 minutes of Curse of the Werewolf. There was a little homage to a couple of homages to the Werewolf of London, being the cave sequence with the feral child in there, which feels very much like Henry Hall being in Tibet, which was really Vasquez Rocks, and being attacked by that werewolf in that film, and also the last line of Benicio, of Lawrence Talbot, when he turns to Emily Blunt and says thank you. And then dies. That's right out of the very end of Werewolf of London. So, and there's a whole bunch more, but I mean, for fans like myself, having those little Easter eggs in there just increases the enjoyment of watching the movie.
All right, excellent. Mr. Schlender, any rebuttals to those points?
Here's what I noticed. When Benicio del Toro turns into the Wolfman in London and starts running what can only be described as the muck, that looked exactly like when Quartermain was chasing Mr. Hyde throughout the cities of London in 2001's 9 years earlier League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And that looked better. Now, there's an Englishman you can root for, despite being obviously Scottish.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that movie since it came out. I totally forgot.
Oh, man. We got to do it on the show, Frank. Put it in your calendar. Come on, we'll do this. It will be fun.
Captain Nemo was cool, man. He had
there's a lot of great ideas in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But I'm saying
we'll save it for another day.
Was it Mr. Hyde that he was chasing? But
yes,
wasn't that same scene in Van Helsing?
Yeah.
They do a lot of rooftop chases in these Victorian.
Dylan, I hate to break it to you. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out in 2003.
Oh, 2003? I thought it was 2001. Okay, thank you, Ryan. So 7 years earlier. My point completely imploded.
All the difference.
Yeah, no, it's completely shot.
Totally fell apart there.
I withdraw it, Your Honor.
Mr. Dietz, do you have any further exhibits you'd like to enter before you rest?
No, I think that I think I've made my point that this is a film that is much better than I think a lot of I'll save that for my final remarks. So I can rest.
Right, both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Schlender, you may begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Werewolves are cool. I think of Underworld and how they fight the vampires looking all jacked. It's sweet as hell.
Yeah.
But beyond just werewolves, when you want to tackle the OG Wolfman, you need to up your game. You need a story that can penetrate. You need actors that care and can emote. And you need cohesive choices that do not feel like filler or so many dangling threads. 2010's The Wolfman lacked ambition and resolve. I am struggling to guess if anyone involved took it seriously. It does not read as a labor of love. It doesn't read as a love letter to the original. And it doesn't seem like it's respectfully setting its own course either. It's in a very odd spot. Because it's not art, it's a product. Something to be unwrapped and consumed and tossed out like so much fast food. This, despite what the lovely Frank Dietz is saying, will not be remembered at all. It will pass on and not even be a curio. 1941 will endure. 2010 could not do what Brandon Fraser's Mummy did. And what's so bad, it didn't even seem to try. What a waste. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dietz, please present your closing argument.
Werewolves are cool.
All right.
I'll watch, and I will watch almost any werewolf movie. Right down to the Werewolf of Washington and Werewolves on Wheels.
Wait, back up. What's this?
Cycles. It's from the 70s. It's pretty strong.
Yeah. I definitely disagree. I think that there was a great deal of thought in the production of this film, from the look of it, from the script that is taking Kurt Siodmak's original idea and expanding on it, building more depth to the characters than in the original, which I always have to say I love like a baby, like it was my baby. I love the colors. I love the costumes. I love most of the acting. And the references, the homage, the references, I like the violence in it. I like that this Wolfman was one of the most brutal werewolves that's still ever been made. Don't go to see Werewolves, by the way, if you haven't already. Came out earlier this year. But I think that it is a movie that wasn't just a product. I look at the art design, I look at the makeup design, I look at the work that was put into almost every aspect of it, and I see it as a very good film that is vastly underrated, and I do believe it will not disappear forever, and it will be still remembered as more people discover it. Because remember that there's a lot of people who have never even seen it. As more people discover it, I think that you'll find that the critical reviews of it will start to turn more toward the positive than the negative. So that's where I stand on The Wolfman 2010.
Oh, we'll see if the jury's reviews turn positive as well. Thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Maynard Bangs, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. You've done terrible things. Be strong. Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You've all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way? Let's hope the deliberation doesn't get too hairy, if you catch my drift.
I loved it. It made me howl with excitement.
Hey, you gotta save some for the interview.
Okay, gentlemen. Ben, you've talked the least during this recording. I want to hear from you first.
Okay. A lot of what the prosecution tried to do was compare this to the original film, which I do compare it when I'm watching it with the way the Wolfman looks. Like, that is kind of a direct comparison. I'm not sure that I compared it to the original in any other scene. It does try to do different things with the story, with Anthony Hopkins, how the father relates to him, how it is more bloody and gory and all that. I wouldn't go as far as to say I loved it, but the CGI is definitely too much, and that will age poorly. But it did come at a time where where it slips into the cracks. I remember people were talking about Twilight all the time, and someone was comparing, they were so broken they thought that it was going to be like the Wolfmen in the Twilight movies, because nobody was, the Mummy was 10 years ago, and even that, it wasn't trying to do what Brendan Fraser's Mummy did. It stands on its own. I like that it tries to do that. I love the creature effects, the makeup. It deservedly won an Academy Award. Like the CGI less. Del Toro's okay. I don't know. What are you thinking, Maynard?
I kind of like the werewolves in Twilight. I mean, as far as picking things in Twilight,
they're just giant wolves.
Yeah, they're freaking cool, right? I want a giant wolf puppy. I do like that this told a different story. I'm glad that it's a retelling, but a reimagining. I think the biggest strength of this movie is the story. I like that, the father is actually the original werewolf, and that he's been behind the mother's murder. And
did you see that coming, by the way? That was a point in the trial.
That's hard for me to say anymore, because this was probably my fourth or fifth time seeing it. So I saw the breadcrumbs leading up. So I wouldn't say it was telegraphed, because I can't remember.
He's a villain of some kind, but that he's
he's Anthony Hopkins. When is he not, right? I mean, is he gonna eat somebody's liver with a fine Chianti? So I'm not shocked by that. But since the original, where the father is not a villain,
right,
that's the biggest thing that leads you off that trail. So I think that was well done, and it's not like it's they reveal it right before Act 3. So it's a reveal, but it's not like a final twist.
It doesn't derail the whole thing. Yeah.
I think it strengthens it. I like him being the prime werewolf. I like that. I don't know that I love the fight itself, but I think that's kind of where everything was at that time. Marvel's just about to take off, and everyone's kind of like, we gotta have a big fight in the end. We gotta have werewolf v werewolf.
And ironically, same director as Captain America.
See, that's not ironic to me. That makes perfect sense to me.
The CGI is not quite there yet. I mean, I like the idea of having them fighting, but if it was practical, that would have been so much better.
Absolutely, I don't know who would have played Hopkins. Who could have had Hopkins?
Oh, he's in makeup. He's in makeup at that point. Just you can make a Hopkins.
But just like Hopkins body type, right? He's got to be a little frumpy and still throw hands. Now, I'd say the biggest weakness of the film is the CGI and the effects, especially when they could have had Baker. He's ready to do it. And I had just been talking to Kevin Smith, of 0 Point Reviews, just last night. And I mentioned that we were doing the Wolfman, and he's like, man, if they had just kept all of Baker's stuff, it would be so much better. And he had actually described they had removed all of Baker's stuff. So I'm a little bit relieved from this trial that some of it does still remain. And at least he got an Oscar for it. But they should have kept all of it. I think if they just kept all of it, I don't know if I have any complaints about the movie at all, which is, I think, pretty positive then. And also, as far as Easter eggs that I did like, to me, the whole pub scene when they're talking about the werewolf reeks of American Werewolf in London.
And right. the constable is the same guy who throws the darts in American Werewolf. It's the same actor.
That's an interesting point. Now get out of my jury room.
Go to the bathroom. Leave him alone.
Sorry.
Why do we put the bathroom on the other side of the jury room? It's so inconvenient.
The rest of the bailiff's Halloween candy.
Ryan, I know you're a big American Werewolf in London fan.
I am. It's my favorite horror film of all time. This movie had me set up from the beginning because it starts with the 40s studio logo, which is a really good way to get me interested in a film. And a second way of getting me interested in a film is having Emily Blunt be in it.
Oh,
Swoon.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I love the fact that people keep on saying, well, Benicio del Toro couldn't be the son of Anthony Hopkins. Like, it's no more improbable than Chaney being the son of Claude Rains. Like, that doesn't make
I addressed that already.
Get out of this room!
And I fucking love Anthony Hopkins in this film. It brings up a crucial acronym that he came up, NAR, which is no acting required, which is the best Hopkins that I think we ever get. On the minus side, I hated all the artistic flourishes, like the sudden zooms and slow motion and all that stuff to make it seem like contemporary. I hated that shit. And I did like the fact that it was 69 years between retellings. Nice. And but the problem with the movie is that it's admirably unironic, and I appreciate all the viscera, but unfortunately it's not remotely thrilling to me. Like, even the first time I saw it without any prior knowledge of what was going to happen, I wasn't exactly invested in the intensity of the plot. So that's where I'm kind of stuck at a crossroads here, because I give this a gentleman's 4 on Letterboxd.
Oh, really?
Frank gave it a gentleman's 8, which I think is reflects very well his case. So I want to hear what you guys say first before I lean in. So Ben, what are you thinking?
Well, I disagree with the defender that this will be as iconic as The Thing. I don't know that I see people will revisit this as much.
And they will not be making the Wolfman 2 anytime soon, whereas they're making The Thing 2 right now.
Oh God!
No, that was that was a joke. I heard that was a joke by Carpenter. He's not really doing that.
Oh, thank
God. Good one, Carpenter. And Dylan, I think in werewolf movies, typically it's 3 nights of a full moon. So that explains why, it's the next night. I think that was even the case.
It's literally impossible to be a full moon.
It's the 3 nights of there's the almost full, there's the full, and then there's the next almost full. That's 3 nights. Full. That's how they did it in all the werewolf movies. You're wrong.
No, that still doesn't make sense with werewolf lore. That's what I'm saying.
Get out of the jury room.
You invited him in, Ben.
I did.
And he's a vampire.
And I brought Frank.
I love the line Halton Abbey. I like that this has that kind of. It was, but it succinctly put it. I love it has that Victorian look to it, and it does try to do its own thing that's separate from the original Wolfman. We talk about intentionality. I don't know that it got all the way there, but I don't think it's trying to copy the original, which is what I think most people, if they give any demerit to it, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to.
It would be a 1-to-1 for most people,
and it's not. Yeah, it's not even trying.
Yeah.
So I am going to go not guilty.
Rob,
I I haven't mentioned Benicio, but actually, I do like Benicio. I didn't notice his accent slipping or anything. That wasn't a distraction.
I
to
didn't
me.
notice that either. Yeah,
I was trying to pay attention for it too, but it did not happen.
It
At least
did
not to
happen.
not to a distracting amount. I love how sullen and sad his face is. If you're looking for a present day Lon Chaney, he's got the right kind of just perpetually sad looking face that works for that.
Because he just wants to die. That's all he wants.
He's didn't even know they were making a movie. I do like Hopkins. Emily Blunt, I'm not as big a fan as you guys. Like as far as previous things, I think
That's
lots
okay.
of people
more for us.
Sure, lots of people probably could have done that part, but I agree that's the same of the original movie. And to me, the real interesting interaction here was Benicio and Hopkins. Again, the only demerit I have is don't get rid of Rick Baker's work. That was dumb. If you had, I'd call this a great movie. Without it, I'm still not going to say.
Well, you haven't seen it. You don't know. Maybe they saved you from something terrible. You don't know.
Terrible? I doubt that, but I'm going to go not guilty.
You know what, guys? I'm actually going to make this a unanimous verdict.
Wow.
Even though I don't really like this movie, but I love Frank's passion. So I'm going to go not guilty. Let's go tell that very handsome judge.
I would not have called that.
Man, it does not happen a lot at all. Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus the Wolfman 2010, we find the defendant not guilty of being a bad movie.
We howl at the end of every case too, even when it's not a werewolf.
It's cool.
The verdict is so rendered. The Werewolf 2010 is free to go, but we are going to shackle up the producers that removed Rick Baker's work and force them to watch American Werewolf in London for hours on end until they realize what they did wrong.
Do you mean the Wolfman instead of the werewolf?
What did I say?
The
yes.
Werewolf.
Well, the wrong movie.
They can both go, Ryan. They can go in the same car. It'll save money. Court is adjourned.
This is Wolfman reporting to you live from outside the Reels of Justice Courthouse. Mr. Schlender, that case was rough. How do you feel about that jury's verdict?
Wow, President Nixon.
I'm Wolfman.
I was about to say, sounds a lot more like Nixon.
I'm actually Nixon. Look, not a lot of people know this, but Frank's full Christian name is Frankenstein Dietz. He knows his monsters. So going head to head with him in a werewolf movie was definitely a tall order, and I thought he had a very good case, made a lot of good arguments. This is an interesting movie. It was the right fit for the show. Some trivia for everyone. Former guest of the show, Jonathan Mayberry, wrote the novelization of this. So go buy that on Amazon or check it out from your local library. But, it's just I love having Frank on. He's a great guy, so it was a good case. And I'll talk to you guys in the post-show.
Support your local libraries. Mr. Dietz, that trial was an absolute howl. Did that decision make your tail wag?
Not just my tail, but that's not really important right now.
Oh, no!
Close your eyes and
I feel wonderful about the decision. I didn't do this well my previous 2 times on the show, so this was a nice justification for me. Look, I think that Dylan also made some really good points, and there were a couple of moments when I was just like, wait a minute, is he right? But then I realized, nah. So I think that no, I like it. It was a really good back and forth. I think it was a really good we had a good tennis match going on there, and I'm just very pleased to have the jury agree with my decision to defend this film. This was fun.
You. Well, that's all the time we've got before the next case sinks its teeth in. This is Wolfman signing out. Ahoo!
And Frank, what is the creature documentary that you were in? Because I want to see it now.
Oh, it's called. It came out on. It was re-released on Blu-ray a couple of years ago. I think it's now called I think it's called Creature Feature 60 Years of the Gill Man.
Okay.
In 2014, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Keith David narrates it, which
very
was
cool.
really super cool. Yeah.
Tagging in with the thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and he was also in the episode of Creepshow that I wrote. So
Very cool.
Keith and I actually, and it's really funny too. He also was the voice of a character that I worked on at Disney, and I didn't even know that it was him. So when I finally met him, we were talking about all this stuff. We were like, "Oh my God, we've got this huge history together that we weren't even aware of." So
was
very
that for
cool
Princess
guy.
and the Frog?
No, it was Hercules.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was a much smaller role. He played Apollo in up on Mount Olympus.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
I was hoping it was Goliath.
I didn't either.
I used to talk about gargoyles.
Oh God, if we could talk about gargoyles, that'd be amazing. We'd be talking for 4 hours.
No, we'll have to try to stay on topic. So, Frank, what's been keeping you busy? What have you been up to since the last time we talked to you?
Lately, I have been back in, I think it was May. I started a brand new YouTube channel called This Monstrous Life, and pretty much almost every day I post either a video on there or a clip from a movie, or I do longer videos where I talk about things like jump scares and or the movie Frogs, for example.
Yes.
I got a whole half hour on Frogs on there, and I'm just having a blast with it. It's kind of like, the way I look at it is that, like, because I'm not making movies as much anymore, or doing some stuff like that. I thought I compared myself to like a pro ball player. Like, once he can't do that anymore, what does he do? He does color commentary. So that's what I feel like I'm doing now.
You're the Tony Romo of monster movies.
There we go. Yeah.
The Jesse the Body Ventura of monster movies.
I ain't got
Let
time
it be
to
both.
bleed.
It would be great.
And so this Monstrous Life, you can find it on YouTube, and it's just video. So YouTube is it?
Mhm.
Okay, cool,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it isn't a podcast, but that could change at some point also. So we'll see.
You just extract the audio and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
I didn't know if some of those videos make it on Facebook too or not.
What I do is on Facebook is almost every time that I post a video, I'll post a link to the video that'll take you to the channel. So I don't post the video itself, but I post the link there, and there's usually a picture or something that like, if you were interested in hearing me talk about
Frogs.
Bert I. Gordon's The Cyclops, well, guess what? Just click that link and
Hey. And like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell.
Yes,
so you don't miss
all
an
that. I'm that guy. Now I'm the guy who has to do that.
Smash that like button.
Yeah.
I do it for other people. I think YouTube is a brilliant.
Shameless
Everyone
about
should
it.
do it. It's so shameless.
Fun fact about Frogs: it was the double feature with Godzilla versus the Smog Monster when it came to the US.
Yep.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Absolutely. So good environmental double feature.
You knew the beginning
everyone.
of it.
Now, Frank, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies that you think people should see. So what is a movie you think people should see?
Okay. So I just saw in the theater. I saw Predator: Badlands.
Yeah.
And I actually loved it. I think I've seen all of the Predator movies, and they all sort of like, I don't know, they're all sort of the same to me. But I refer to it as the most adorable Predator movie to date, because between Elle Fanning's cutie pie robot and the baby Klitschlick, or whatever the big monster is called, it's got something for everybody. The demographic is huge, but I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was a lot of fun, and with a lot of really interesting, a lot of great imagination as far as the world building of the planet that it takes place on. Like the monsters that live there all have some kind of really super cool thing that you don't necessarily see it at first, and then all of a sudden it does something else, and you're like, oh my god. And the interesting chemistry between the Predator character and the robot. So I really enjoyed it. I mean, if beyond that, go to see Weapons.
And Badlands is the first Predator movie to actually be about the Predator.
One of the AVPs was kind of...
We don't count those movies.
Oh, yes, we do. If we're going to count Badlands, which was bad, man. So, Frank, round 2 is you and me on Badlands, I guess.
Okay.
Well, see, that's the fun thing is Schlender wanted to recommend Badlands later this week, and now we won't be able to. But so, Schlender, you want to tell people what you thought about it?
I did put off Badlands this episode because I did see Frank post it because we're BFFs on Facebook, and I saw him talk about it. So, like, well, he might recommend it. So if he doesn't, I'll have it for next week. But that's okay because I watched a whole different movie just in case.
Oh, you don't want to say anything about Predator Badlands and how you felt about it at all?
I didn't care for it. I thought it made a lot of like silly decisions and stuff here. But you know what the kids say? You don't want to yuck people's yum. And
I
Frank
say that.
likes it. Yeah, the kids exactly. Like that's fine. That's fine. So I'll have more to say about it possibly in a Schlender 5 review. All right. So I've been receiving a lot of compliments from our fans about my Jackie Chan impression I did the other day.
Not true.
No, that's true. Many calling it nuanced and respectful. So no need to do it again here, but it did make me want to recommend City Hunter from 1993. Wow. Jackie Chan has been on record saying this may be his least favorite movie he has ever done, and I can't imagine why. Actually, that's not true. I can imagine why quite easily. Seemingly only available with the English dub on Amazon Prime. That makes Chan sound nasally and whiny, and that's an impression I will do right now. No, I'm kidding. The plot, such as it is City Hunter, Jackie Chan. He calls himself City Hunter.
He hunts cities or he hunts in the city?
His name is City Hunter. It's immaterial. Squirtle doesn't say Squirtle because he's a squirting turtle. It's because it's what he says. His name is City Hunter. So he's trying to collect a missing girl, but he actually gives up on it and sneaks onto a cruise ship that the girl actually just so happened to sneak onto, completely unrelated. So he decides to pursue the contract again, but then terrorists attack. Yeah, that's literally the whole movie. It's a live action cartoon and moves at such a clip that you may not be interested, but you certainly won't be bored. And certain members of our court will be pleased to know it's based off a popular manga and has spawned several animes and other related content, which honestly cannot be worse than this.
Wow.
So it's Die Hard on a cruise ship?
A little bit.
With Jackie Chan?
A little bit.
I'm kind of sold. on that.
You're gonna...
watch it. You're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, it's going to be like... it's funny. The only way I could describe it will just make you want to watch it more, and Ryan will find too insulting. So I'm not going to say it.
Ryan's not going to yuck your yum, huh?
Dylan.
I'm not yucking anyone's yum. I'm not doing it. Okay, it's like if Joe Dante directed a Jackie Chan movie and ripped off Die Hard. But now everyone's going to want to watch it. But trust me, it's not
good. Hi, yeah. You got to find a way to say that. On paper,
I told you.
It's fun as hell.
Yeah, but people don't appreciate that Joe Dante's a fucking hack.
Hey, we do not know if that's true or not.
Dylan,
I love small soldiers.
Stop it.
I know.
He's just saying that to get your
That's
goat,
why
Ryan.
I said it, but I said I didn't want to say it because it would do that. I was trying to be good. You brought the Wolfman out of me.
You're already a monster. You're the real monster of the show. My recommendation this week is another leftover from spooky season. It's The Conjuring Last Rites from 2025. Ed and Lorraine Warren must face their final and perhaps most dangerous case of paranormal investigation that finds their daughter in the crosshairs of a mysterious evil. Ooh. Despite the name Last Rites, I have my doubts this will be the final installment ever in the Conjuring series. I mean, they've reached their 9th installment in this series. And it would be a shame not to go for an even 10, because then they could go find ghosts in space, which would be sick, right?
They need more prequels, right? Like
they could do that, and they would. That's probably how they would get the recasting. And actually, there are some scenes of them young in this movie where they are recast as with younger actors. So maybe they could just return to reprise the role.
But don't they have that whole museum filled with like cursed objects, like the Friday the 13th TV series?
Yes, yeah. There's better movies about it, but it does show up in this movie quite a bit. Now, if this is their last, I'd say it's a strong note to go out on, though, because I felt it was kind of a return to form for their series, at least in the terror department. I felt the film was sufficiently scary, maybe the scariest since Conjuring 2, but that's a low bar considering how dreadful The Devil Made Me Do It was. Stupid occult stuff. Be more scary. This felt like a good closing point for the characters, the fictional characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who, after so many installments, I feel relatively attached to. But it's also an important case of separating fiction from the more regrettable facts. The real-world Warrens were almost certainly con artists, and there are some accusations surrounding Ed about abuse. So when you keep that in mind, the home video footage of the Warrens that accompanies the closing credits is interesting but a bit distasteful. We like our fictional paranormal investigators. Let's leave their inspirations out of it. Now, I'm not saying there's no such thing as demons or ghosts or oogie boogies, just that these folks likely can't communicate with them. However, if you're looking for a scary movie for kids movie night, you can check out The Conjuring Last Rite streaming wherever digital films are sold.
So Ed Warren's the real monster. That gets me off the hook.
He could be, but not in the movie. In the movie one, he's great. The movie versions they're fantastic,
it's
wonderful
Patrick
people.
Wilson, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I love Patrick Wilson. He's so great in it.
Yeah, he doesn't play guitar in this one though. That's the only bummer.
Ooh, huge demerit.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, what have you got for us?
My Hecko Bendation is a recent release. It dropped literally 5 days before this recording. Guillermo del Toro's interpretation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Ooh.
Unlike the Universal version from 1931, this film is mostly dedicated to the toxic relationship between creator and the created. A creation gifted with the power of speech and later reason, quite powerfully played by Jacob Elordi, who I've never really been interested in, but now I am. And how many versions of this story depict Victor Frankenstein's aha moment completely nude? As the character is played by Oscar Isaac, it would be nice to see some dong, but I'll settle for some push. Del Toro has clearly wanted to make this film for his entire career, and it's so vividly realized and handsomely mounted that I feel that it was worth the wait. Unfortunately, I have no repertory theaters where I live, so I had to watch it on Netflix. Yuck. But on the plus side, I got to watch it with my girlfriend as we got high, which is the real 4DX. And since I stole this rec from Ben, what did you think of it, sir?
It was awesome. This has been a great year for horror, and it's like tied with Sinners and Companion, and probably a few others for one of my favorite horrors.
Bring her back. Bring Her Back is, I think, my top horror of this year.
Heretic is really good.
I say Heretic, although that was last year. I guess.
That was last year. Yeah.
Heretic
was
very good.
I also saw the Frankenstein movie now. I don't know that I like the book story, but obviously it is closer to the book than, say, the 31.
He does new things with it, though. It's like more about like the father than like influencing him, and then him influencing his creation.
I just wish at some point the captain had gone, all right, listen, tell me more about the monster outside. Don't tell me your whole goddamn life story.
And then I decided to part my hair 2 inches to the left.
Exactly. Like, would you get on with it? Frank, did you see it? Did you see the Frank? Did you see the new Frankenstein?
Oh yeah, I did. I also. It wasn't playing at a theater near me, so I did watch it on Netflix with my family, and we kind of riffed on it a bit, but we all really liked it. I'm a little biased. I know Guillermo and I know Mike Hill, who created the makeups and all that kind of stuff, so I don't know how much that really, affected my enjoyment of it. But overall, I thought it was really good. I mean, the best one since that TV version.
One?
No, way before that.
Penny Dreadful?
No, that was good though. That was really good. No, I'm talking about like 1970s Frankenstein: The True Story, which is great if you can find it. It's much closer to that. Than the Brano one or some of the others.
What about Andy Warhol sexual?
This was a lot like the it was a lot like the Penny Dreadful storyline. A lot of similarities. But
Derek Schlender loved it.
But I really loved that series too. So
I'll see it 2 more times before I fully make my mind up. So.
It can't possibly be as good as the Edgar Winter version.
Boo!
That's right. I'm still the monster.
You see? Big Ben, why don't you send us home strong?
My recommendation is something our guest had a hand in, if you catch my drift, as an animator. Oh, well, I, of course, speak of 2001's Disney classic, Atlantis, The Lost Empire.
Hey,
Coming in at the tail end of their hand-drawn era before going into CGI, though there are a lot of elements of both here working together pretty well. I wish we could have seen more of this hand-drawn style from them. This movie checks a lot of my boxes. I've said many times that I am a sucker for treasure-hunting adventure films, and Atlantis really fits that bill. Borrowing tones certainly from Jules Verne, but I would say that there's some Stargate in its DNA as well, which is cool, because Stargate Atlantis would later almost certainly live from this. And I feel there's a bit of Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark in there as well, but, it's its own thing. The characters are varied and have full arcs, and not to harp on the hand-drawn aspect again too much, but the emotions on their faces from the beginning to the end are fluid. I'm not saying I never notice that sort of thing in a computer image, but rarely in the same way. Frank can correct me if I'm wrong, but I always imagine the artists acting as they draw, like trying to make themselves feel whatever it is their drawing's emotions as they put that pencil down onto the paper in a way that a programmer adjusting a vector just really can't. Here, everything feels cinematic and grand. Art direction aside, it's a fun adventure. And and when it comes to Disney, I may be an Aladdin man, but I think this is very much up there with it. And sorry, Frank, I think I stepped on you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I love Atlantis. It was a really, really hard picture to work on. My character was Audrey, the little Latino mechanic. But there was a lot of CG in scenes with the 2D characters, and anytime that happened, it was basically double the work for us. So it was a grueling thing to work on. I didn't watch it for 10 years after we finished it, and then it came out on Blu-ray, and I watched it, and I fell in love with it like all over again. And this is another movie that didn't do well in the box office when it came out, but now has this very big cult following.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it warms my heart.
That the public opinion on it has really turned around in the
it
following
still
years.
Makes me sad that there isn't the submarine voyage at Disneyland that is based on Atlantis like they were going to do before it bombed.
Yeah.
So sad that that's not what happened, but at least it's
When
being
is
appreciated
Titan AE
in
gonna get
the
its
present day.
reevaluation? That's all I'm saying.
No justice for Titan IE. I'm so sorry.
I was part of that problem. I hate it. I am the monster.
See, it all comes full circle. And with that, we are all out of show, but we want to thank our guest Frank Dietz for joining us. Thank you so much, Frank.
Hey, thank you guys, man. This is so much fun. I'm always happy to join you guys and either get my ass kicked or win like I did this time. Hey.
It's a pain we know too well.
Thank you.
Take another 2 years to practice your case.
And we'll check out This Monstrous Life on YouTube.
Yes,
and you can see all of Frank's videos. And I'm sure you can follow him on Facebook too, if you can find on there, if there's a page. And we hope to have you back as well. And we hope everyone else will join us too, as the reels of justice keep turning.
Oh, count it.
So many where things.
Where Nixon.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.